Chris Rock's real thoughts on the Will Smith Oscars incident. We'll let you know. After all, for the last long while, people have been focusing solely on Will Smith, and even some of his family, as they've tried to get a handle on all that really happened at the Oscars. And that's fair, as Will was the aggressor here. Yet, if you look deeper, you'll notice that Chris Rock didn't really say anything about the incident himself. Many considered that odd, but now he has said something, after a fashion. Number 5. The line that was crossed. Before we get to the reaction, we need to start at the action. Simply put, Chris Rock was out there to present the award for Best Documentary. And being the comedian that he was, he decided to have some fun with his friends in the Smiths, Will and Jada. During his run, he begged the crowd to let Will Smith win Best Actor, and then decided to poke fun at his wife, Jada, by saying, "Jada, love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it." This was both a movie joke and a reference to Jada Smith's hair. And that was where the line was crossed, because she has a condition that resulted in her hair falling out. So she didn't like it. And the camera expertly captured Jada's reaction, and it showed just how much she didn't appreciate that line about her and her look. Seriously, this is one of those if looks could kill kind of moments. And then there was Will, who was fine with Chris poking fun at his lack of winning actor Oscars. But when he cracked the joke about Jada, and he realized the levels to it, because the video showed he laughed at first, it was on. Because King Richard got up and walked on stage and went right up to Chris, and smacked him clean across the face. In a word? Ow. In 2 words? Holy crap. No one saw that coming. Not even Rock, because he didn't even try to do something when Will approached him. Because, let's be frank here, that's not who Will Smith is. We've never seen him do anything close to that in the past. That's what made it so shocking and terrifying in some ways. And that was just the beginning. Number 4. To slap or not to slap? One of the most ironic reactions to this whole ordeal was that no one believed it to be real at first. This was 2 well-known comedians on a show that sometimes does over-the-top comedy bits. Even at that show, they had some that, weren't the best. And thus, this was a gag. But as the replays came out online, and they came at lightning-fast speeds. It is the internet, after all. Things became very clear that this wasn't a gag or a joke. He straight up smacked him. And then Will Smith really went to work on Chris Rock. Because right after he smacked Rock, Smith went back to his chair and started to curse out Chris Rock. The Oscars, in the US at least, cut the audio feed. But the cameras were still rolling. And it was clear that Will was shouting, "Keep my wife's name out of your fucking mouth." And he said it more than once to ensure that Rock got the message. And he said he did, as well as doing the joke, "This is the greatest night in the history of television." Yes, that was Rock's first reaction, but it wouldn't be his last. Number 3. Celeb reactions. Naturally, all sorts of reactions were given about the situation overall. Nicole Kidman, The Rock, Meryl Streep, Mel Gibson, Emma Stone, Ryan Gosling, and more all had their pictures taken at the moment of impact. And you can understand why many of them were shocked, stunned, or trying to contain themselves overall. Some were making fun of the incident online and afterward, while others were noting that Will crossed a line, with multiple celebs saying it was assault, and that he should be punished for what he did to Chris Rock. Not so ironically, one of the biggest supporters of Will Smith was actually his son, Jaden, who went to Twitter after the incident and said, "That's how we do it." Jada, meanwhile, noted that they're in a season of healing, and that she's there for that, so take that as you will. Chris's brother, Tony, noted many things recently, not the least of which is that he doesn't approve of either apology of Will Smith's, that Chris and Will have not made up, and that Chris overall is fine. But was he? Number 2. Chris letting people walk all over him. Chris Rock recently expressed that he's let people walk all over him since his childhood. His revelation came on the January 12th episode of Fly on the Wall, with Dana Carvey and David Spade, 2 months before Will Smith smacked him at the Academy Awards. On the podcast, Rock recounted being bullied ridiculously throughout his childhood. He said, "Half of the bullying was because I was just a little guy. Then I got bused to school, and the bullying was because I was a little guy and I was black. I was getting double bullied." He said he eventually resorted to taking matters into his own hands. I went home, I put a brick in a book bag. This is like a legendary story in my neighborhood. I swung that shit and smacked the guy in the face with this brick. And stomped on him, Joe Pesci style, to the point that we thought he might die. Rock told hosts David Spade and Dana Carvey. Later on, with the help of therapy, Rock realized the long-term impact the event had on his life. Long story short, from that day on, as my shrink puts it to me, "You have been scared to be angry ever since," he said. "The guy you saw was bending over backwards to be nice because I was so scared of my anger." Rock recalled that his therapist wanted him to move past the incident because this guy brought something out in you and you're so scared of that thing coming out of you again that you let the whole world walk all over you. Your friends walk over you, your friends walk over you, your female relationships, everybody just fucks you over. The Saturday Night Live alum said that he is now able to get angry and can better process his emotions. "I'm not scared of letting people know how I feel about certain things," he shared. "Now I can say, 'Hey, I don't like what you said to me,' without losing my head, without hitting someone on the head with a frickin' brick." It's ironic hearing that now, given that he really didn't do anything at the Oscars other than crack jokes. But as he showed later on, he's still processing what happened. Number 1. The Comedy Show. Chris Rock made an emotional return to the stage on the Wednesday night after the Oscars. It was there that Rock made his first public remarks about the incident. In the first of 2 shows, he was greeted by the audience at Boston's Wilbur Theater, with 2 back-to-back standing ovations, lasting several minutes. "Let me be all misty and shit," Rock said with tears in his eyes, gesturing to the crowd's warm response. "How was your weekend?" he quipped, to which the audience responded with laughter. "I don't have a bunch of shit about what happened. So if you came to hear that, I had like a whole show I wrote before this weekend, and I'm still kind of processing what happened. So at some point, I'll talk about that shit. And it'll be serious and it'll be funny, but right now, I'm going to tell some jokes." The comedian, currently on his ego death tour, then continued his performance. Marsha Paul, who attended the show, told CNN she could tell Rock was moved by the audience reception. "The crowd just went crazy when he came on stage," she said. "They were really happy to see him and support him." Another concert goer told CNN that Rock put on a good show, quickly moving past the Oscars in his set. "Didn't seem like he wanted to talk about it, which didn't really bother us since he was so entertaining he didn't need to." Rock returned to the stage for a second show about an hour later. He was greeted with a standing ovation once again. "I wrote a show before all this nonsense happened," Rock said. He reiterated that he plans to talk about the incident at the Oscars in more detail at some point. Then, seemingly in reference to whether he's spoken with Smith since the weekend's events, Rock said, "I haven't talked to anyone, despite what you heard." So clearly there are some things still to be said by Chris Rock and others. But for now, we need to give him his space and time. So what do you think? What do you think of this look at Chris Rock and the surprising comments he's had to say about his ordeal with the Oscars, Will Smith, and beyond? Do you think that things are only going to get weirder and wilder for Chris Rock? What do you think is going to happen next to Will Smith? Let us know in the comments below, and we'll see you next time on the channel.